Shabbos, for some reason, for me personally, it's just like I grew up with it, so it's just like this is what you do every week, and it's like it's
like
fine. It works out, you know?
ingrained.
Yeah, it's just like
what Shabbos, I guess, really shows you is that those days when you're unplugged, what your what priorities kind of should be there for yourself. Even though I feel like I'm not being productive, you're actually really being productive by spending your time with your loved ones and your friends and your family.
hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Welcome back,
I'm
Rivka. How
back.
is it in Israel over there?
It's so amazing. I feel like I'm not in real life. Like I feel
Yeah.
like going back to New York is gonna be so weird. It's been so much fun here. Israel is like we're at the time where like there's so many birthright groups here. Um,
That's a blast.
s-
So it's probably so many
so
different types of people.
you just like meeting so many people, but birthright groups are usually like younger people, so it's not like. I mean, actually, sometimes it's older people. Anyway, so
Yeah,
like you
there's
go
like
through the shook and
there's like different age groups, and different like
yeah.
communities and purpose. Like I feel like there's also different purposes for like why you're going. I mean, it's always
What do
to
you mean?
visit Israel, but I'm saying like different groups come from
There's like
different
religious
like
groups. There's not religious groups. There's mixed groups.
right,
There's like the whole
right.
purpose of birthright is literally to just have people like make aliyah like to Israel.
Yeah.
So
And it happens. Like
so
there's
yeah,
so many people that just
yeah.
stay. Yeah.
I think I
It's
met
great. I
someone who was
love
like, yeah,
Birthright.
I want to live here. Yeah. Also, it's like a free trip, so like, who wouldn't? You know.
Yeah. Wait, when
Um,
did you go?
when did I go where?
So you went on Birthright?
No, basically when you guys all did birthright, it was my brother's bar mitzvah, so we did it like I was in Israel the same exact time, but I was with my family.
Oh.
Everyone always thinks I was on their birthright group. I was um, like I met you up with you guys, like in Ben Yehuda one
Really?
night.
Okay.
Yeah,
I barely
but
remember our Birthright trip, but like I just remember it being a blast. So I don't really remember that night. What did we just had like
yeah,
just hung out.
yeah. We like Mike's place. Do you remember that place?
Mike's was it like burgers or something and fries? Did we get
I don't know if
burgers?
they have like a whole outdoor area. They have like a huge outdoor area and like has like couches and like it's like really chill. And
Yeah.
I think they had like live music inside. I remember meeting up with you guys there, but otherwise I wasn't with you guys. But yeah, I have the worst
Okay.
memories, so I don't.
With like memory, like remembering things that I did in the past. Yeah, I have a bad memory, but I do
Yeah.
remember the salad place. What's that salad place in
Oh, that was
Israel?
like in seminary when all the time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I should go there. I
Oh
should
my,
go
what
there.
how have you not gone there?
I
That's like
totally
the
forgot
best
about it
place.
because it's also like we're always at the shook. Like we're literally always at the shook whenever we go out. So this place is like in like the outskirts of Ben Yehuda. Like I don't know if it's like so in the center, but I have to go there. It's called like
You have
Salad
to.
Bar or something. I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
think it
I don't
is
remember.
like just salad bar. Have you gone to
It's just
Rebar
Salad Bar.
yet?
No,
Oh, oh my God,
I
what
don't
have you been
know.
doing?
I don't know. Also,
Go
we
to
went to Tel Aviv
Rebar.
for a few days, so
So
we
nice.
haven't. I don't know if they have those stuff there, but we honestly like literally eat pasta every single night. We just bought pasta. We have the people who lived here before us left like this sriracha like mixed with mayo sauce, and I put it on everything.
Like
I
spicy mayo?
literally, yeah, yeah. I guess it's kind of. I guess it's spicy mayo. Yeah,
Yum. So you have that with your
yeah.
pasta? Not with pasta and cheese, I'm
Pasta.
hoping. Just like plain pasta and the spicy mayo.
Literally plain pasta and spicy mayo.
Yum. That's delicious. It's like
Yeah,
pasta
Israel's a
salad.
lot of fun. There's always like things happening. Like it's really fun.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm like not working. I technically supposed to be studying for like tests, but like I've not been getting to that. And I'm slowly running out of money, so it's all good.
So no stress. Loving it.
Yeah.
Living it. Yeah.
And you, how was your week? How was school? You started your semester?
I started my semester. It's exciting. Hopefully I'm going to graduate at the end of the semester. So looking forward to that.
Oh my God, it's
Yeah, just
amazing.
there's a lot of classes that I'm taking that I just really enjoy. Like if I could be a student forever, I wish that was a job.
Really?
I wish that was a
Really?
job to be a student. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what field could be like the best for that.
Um, I don't know. Like, well, stuff that you're doing a lot of research in, right? Like people who are studying a certain thing and trying to come up with papers. I feel like that's
Yeah.
like doing a lot of kind of
So if you get a
schoolwork type of
PhD,
thing. Yeah, like
like,
that. I mean, I'm not gonna, but you could
or if
technically
like
if
you
you
become
want.
a teacher, maybe like I don't know, maybe it's similar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's like a little bit of a cop out. I don't want to feel like that, but if you want to do something, I feel like the plan B is always like, okay, let me just get my master's and I can always do education. I can always teach. So
Yeah,
if I don't get a writing job, I can always teach writing. But like,
right.
no, like actually get a writer's job, you know what I mean?
You're
Like
like
don't have a plan B.
low key like dissing your like all your teachers.
I
You're
know,
like they
that's what I'm
couldn't get
saying.
successful enough.
No, not necessarily. You know, there's so many like writers who have become teachers like later on in their career. Do you know what I mean? After doing
Yeah,
amazing work. And a lot of my professors are like that.
right.
So maybe it's just like a little bit of a journey. So maybe
Also, like
eventually.
I met somebody here who was like really like he was teaching me Hebrew. Like we had a Shabbos meal together, and he was like teaching me this whole thing. I'm like, whoa, you're like a really good teacher. Like we learned Hebrew in high school, and like it was not. We didn't learn anything. Like it was
Oh my
literally
gosh.
the most chaotic class. So like this guy was like, he was like, it was really interesting. I was like, you should be a teacher. He's like, that's like my passion to be a teacher. So some people just have that passion to be a teacher.
Hmm.
It's not that crazy.
Yeah. No. Some people just won't teach. Yeah.
Yeah. For some time, I thought I wanted to be a teacher, but
When did you think that?
so I was a counselor in teen camp, and I did like sheer. I was also like I did cheer like and I like loved it like and all the girls loved it and I was like maybe I'll be a teacher but then no.
But then no.
But
Yeah,
then
there's
I
like
was
a
like
special
nah.
feeling when you're like in sync with your students or
Yeah,
in sync with people that you're learning with that and you're giving over information. There's that I guess that's what teachers like strive for, that like synchronicity.
yeah, and I'm sure like it's such a fulfilling job. That's what also I've been discussing. Um, should I get into all this whatever? I'll say it quickly because we should get into our topic. But basically, like, um, I'm like debating between psychology and like and coding and doing coding, and like I've
Hmm.
actually literally explained this to so many because every person I meet, like, the question is like, "What are you doing? Oh, you're studying psychology, so you want to get your master's? Like, what are you doing with that?" And I always explain this like I want to do. It's interesting. Psychology is interesting to me, but like the process of getting like a stable job, having a good income is like so long versus coding. Like as long as you learn it, you could do a 4 month boot camp and you get a good job, pretty much. Like obviously like not everything works like that, but like, within a year you can get a good job. So it's like the difference is crazy. But I'm
Yeah,
like, what one's like more of a meaningful job and one just gives you like better like more stable income. So like which one is more worth it? I don't know. That's like
that's the battle. That's your
my
internal
dilemma.
battle that you're having now. Yeah.
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 I think
I
I'm
mean,
probably gonna go for the more money one, but
okay. So I mean, I was gonna say that I hope you don't go for the instant gratification type of job, which
right.
I feel like is the
No.
boot camp one.
Yeah, I mean
Even though I feel
obviously
like you might really learn to enjoy and love
yeah, like
coding
maybe
too. So,
yeah. No, like I have to obviously figure out if I'll enjoy it.
hmm.
So like I'm gonna try to do like research like to see if like this is something that I would like and like what type of job what is the job really. But yeah, but I like all the schooling to like finally get to like be a psychologist or like like I would want to do clinical psychology. Like that takes a long time.
Sure does. Sure
Yeah,
does. And it's necessary too. You know what I mean?
yeah, of course. And
So
but they don't get paid a lot. So like what? That's so.
at the outset, for sure, I
Even
guess.
when you're
And
like
I feel like you
fully
could work towards building your own practice and, having like
yeah
a large client base. I don't even
yeah
know if
that takes
large, like just
forever.
that. Yeah. Yeah. It's like life's work. You know what I mean? But it's
Like
also like,
like what?
no, there's a lag. What were you going to say?
No, I was just gonna say that like when you do, let's say you're doing like literally 10 years of work in psychology, maybe you'll make the same amount as if you're doing like 3 years of work in coding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
It's hard to
crazy.
compare them though, Rivka. They're just such different. You're going to be doing such different things.
Right.
You're applying your life in totally different for different reasons and ways, and that just
Yeah. I mean, it's one
creates a
thing if like
totally.
I knew that like let's say this podcast, like we literally aren't making any money off of it and I love doing it. So like it's one thing if I knew that like this psychology was my passion, but it's not even like I feel that much like towards it. It's just interesting and probably is a more meaningful job because you're helping people.
Right. Right. So I guess if you had like a very intense drive to do it and you have like really intense feelings surrounding it, then maybe I would say, yeah, definitely go take the long road. But everyone has to figure it out for themselves. And you're not short on time. You can always, if you
I mean,
figure out that you don't like
you
boot camp and you
right.
don't like coding, you could always do something else. And I love that. I love that mentality around like you're not
Just like trying
tied
things
down
out.
to anything. Yeah.
Right.
Even though
Yeah.
even though like if you because let's say if you really do feel a drive or like really have a passion, I feel like a lot of times that comes with a feeling of you're running out of time and you want to just get there already. So you want to like put as much in so you can get
Yeah.
working towards it. But that's if somebody I guess really, really knows that this is something that they want to work towards, which is not the case for you, it sounds
Right.
like. So
Yeah. Right. Like like if you like get down the line, like you start your master's degree and like you realize you don't like it, like that's really hard to
yeah, oh
spend
my
that much
God.
time.
I saw this TikTok. This like she I think she was a full nurse or I've seen a lot of people in the medical field being like, okay, I'm literally like a nurse now or I'm in med school and I hate this. What do I do? And it's wow, that's tough.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, people do it, but like I don't want to like have that like oh, I could just in case like that's yeah, whatever. I'll keep everyone updated what I choose to do. But for right now,
Whatever you
I'm
choose, I support you.
unemployed, getting my bachelor's, living in Israel in a studio apartment with two other people. It's
Living
great.
life, like that's so much fun.
Yeah, it's great. I love getting up and leaving, and I'm like not. I'm not always that type of person. I think I'm more of like a homebody and like my comforts, like my things that like I do every day. But randomly, I do need to get up and leave. But like I definitely like miss home and like need to like I'm not gonna stay here forever. But it's good to just like have a little bit of time. So it's like experiences, like the things that you like you experience while traveling is like it's so important to travel.
Yeah, they're like really they're really like deep, but maybe it's not something you can really articulate. You just know it. You just have this like experience and it's taught you a lot of things wisdom wise. Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like
It's
it's
hard to
also just like
explain.
meeting people. The amount of people
Yeah,
I
it's putting
met, like
out
doing
there
different things. It's like really cool.
for sure.
I met someone that I have to convince him to come on the podcast.
Did you
I'm working
convince
on
him
it.
successfully?
I'm working on it. Well, he said
Okay.
I told him, and then he was like, "We'll see." I forgot how it went. I don't know. He's like, honestly, like if I have time, like I'll do it. So I said I'll get the but I don't have his number, so I have to get his number and then like text him. But like I don't know what the line is between being like really annoying and just like oh this person wants to do it. It sounded like he wanted to do it, so we gonna make it happen. He basically like he has a really interesting story, but I don't know whatever if we have him
How much you
on,
should give away?
he'll share
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, get his number. Text him incessantly. Listen, my line is there's never too much pushing. I mean, not really, but like just I guess I text him and see and we'll go from there.
yeah. And then I met this girl who's like I have so many like no like contacts for you if you want to get people on. Like you just meet people, like it's crazy.
Yes.
And like I always tell people I have a podcast, and people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't do anything, but I have a podcast." And then like it just they just like they mention it. They're like, "Oh, I have the like this would be a really interesting guest. This one, that one." Like,
That's great. That's
yeah,
great. Yeah, my method of finding guests is more like I find somebody interesting and then I go over to them and be like, "Would you want to come on my podcast?"
right,
Or if people come to me and say, you know, "I'm so interested in maybe coming
right.
on" or something like that. So I guess we have two different methods,
No,
but
I
we are
mean, I'm not.
trying to get more guests on. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But
maybe
I love talking to guests. I love talking to like random people, and they're hearing their stories. It's really cool. But
yeah.
I'm not like I don't really have a method. It's just like what's been happening, I guess. Like me sharing that I have a podcast, and then people like I like let's say this guy that I spoke to, I want to come on. Like I was just speaking to him about his life, like his life journey, whatever. And I was like, wow, that's actually really interesting. Like, would you want to come on?
And then he's like,
Just like meeting him in
maybe
person.
no, yes. And then did he give
And
you his
then
number?
I'm trying to, no, it was on Shabbos, so none of us had our phones. But
Okay.
so like, I still have that, like, I could still have that doubt in my mind that like, oh, maybe it was just Shabbos.
You know what's a really fun thing to do though on Shabbos if you need to give someone your number? You just like turn it into a game. Say like, okay, say it once and I'll repeat it back and I'll remember it. And then you have to like remember their number So it's kind of fun. You
Wait,
know,
what do you mean? What's the game? I don't get what the game is.
you say, okay, so I can't write down your number, but tell it to me, and I'll repeat it back to you, and I'll see if I remember your number because you can't write it down. And then
Oh,
after
okay.
Shabbos, you text them because you remember the number, and it's kind of fun.
Oh, okay. That's a
I don't know,
technique.
like maybe it's like a fun way. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. To like turn it, then it becomes like a challenge. You're saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, so
Yeah, let's
is
get
there
into
anything
the topic.
else? You ready to get in?
Yeah.
Okay. So growing up as religious girls, we do something every single week that is kind of like wild in this day and age, especially with all the distractions that we have around us, the technology, all the different types of like drugs, so to speak. Um, and we do this thing that a lot of people like have are very shocked about. Like when you tell like completely secular people, even if they're Jewish, but people who don't like observe this, um, it's really shocking to them. And that's Shabbos. We keep Shabbos every single week, which is basically the source of it is that God created the world in 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested, and so we do the same thing because like we were created in the image of God. So if God rested on the seventh day, we rest on the seventh day, which is kind of like the spiritual reason for it. But I really wanted to get into like the just the physical experience, like the experience of growing up like that, and also the like ramification it has on like just taking a day off of technology, taking a day where you're like totally unplugged from like the physical world, besides for food. Well, besides for that, um, you're totally unplugged from everything, and like I don't know, like some benefits that we have from that, and maybe some disadvantages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
firstly, what is like when you think about Shabbos, what comes to your mind? Or what feelings do you feel, I guess?
what comes to my mind is like all the food that we eat, like because literally, like there's one day, and we literally eat like specific type of foods. You know what I'm saying? And I don't eat that during the week, like Saturday comes and we're eating like these dips with bread, like bread called challah, and we're having like challah, and we're having like certain like meat and whatever, and then like and it's delicious every single week. We eat the same exact thing, and then the weekends, and I'm like, get that food away from me, you know, which is so crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
even though most people have leftovers on Sunday. And just to
yeah,
mention, we Shabbat starts Friday night and it goes until Saturday night. So it's the whole weekend where we have a bunch of rules that we're trying to follow of,
right,
not not engaging in work. So it
yeah,
gets very tedious to the point of like you can't even pull out your hair. But
right,
you're basic what it really looks like is you really hanging out with people within your vicinity because you also can't really carry, so it makes you
can't drive.
you can't drive, you can't use electronics, so you're with family, you're with friends, you're eating different meals, you're chatting, reading. So it's kind of just like like a very relaxing period.
Yeah, and it's become like a whole like culture. Like if you're traveling, like I'm traveling now, like we kind of like reach out to different people who live in the area, like, oh, can you host us for a Friday night meal? We basically have a meal Friday night and Saturday day, and like according to like Jewish law, a meal requires like you washing for bread. That's basically what like is considered a meal. So like we have bread and whatever. So we have to like basically find meals, and like just this past Shabbos we ate by somebody who like we didn't know where they lived, so we had to like literally write down the instructions beforehand. Um, because you can't use your phone, you can't drive. So it's like really a day that you're like completely unplugged. Like also in my family, we go to the city every Shabbos because we have like a center for Jewish people, which we spoke about like on a podcast with Mushki. We spoke about like growing up on like in a Chabad house, and we sleep in a hotel every week. And hotels usually have electric keys. They usually have like automatic doors, and you can't do anything electric. It's like you're totally unplugged from the technology. You can't do anything that has to do with electrical stuff. So we literally like if we go to the same hotel every single week, like if they know us, then they know already. But some hotels we go to new week, we're like, can you like open the door for us, please? And they're like, what? Like, just here's the key. Like, go in yourself. Like,
Yeah.
one time this person like came and he like went to the door with us, and then he was like, okay, like you could scan the key. We're like, no, you have to scan it. And then he's like, okay, open the door. We're like, no, you have to open the door. He's like, the door is not like poison. Like, what are you doing? And
Did you when you explained it, were they like okay? Like we're like, oh,
You
I
just like
understand.
honestly like when you blame things on religion, when you like put it not blame, but like you just like put it on religion, people kind of just like back. They're like, okay, like it doesn't make any sense, you know.
Right, right. Like,
It's
okay,
not gonna
I'm
have any
lost here.
rime or reason. Like it's literally
Sure.
like
Yeah,
it's like,
people
oh yeah,
accept it.
it's we keep the Sabbath, and they're like, okay, well, yeah, whatever you say. Like, you want me
Okay.
to literally do a dance for
Listen,
you?
listen,
Like, is
man,
that your
I'm not
tradition?
asking any more questions. I'll open up your door. No, then it
Yeah,
gets a little
literally,
dicey
like,
when you're like, can you come inside and turn on our
yeah,
lights? Like, then you have to invite
right.
them in and start like doing,
No,
yeah,
oh my god, as kids, like, if we would like accidentally keep a light on, or I'm trying to remember, like, one time, like, we forgot to turn on the air conditioner in like the boiling hot summer.
yeah,
So we literally had to like go downstairs. My father would go downstairs, like try to find somebody who wasn't Jewish to come literally upstairs into our home to turn on the
yeah,
air conditioner. Like they were probably, but I feel like when people live in Brooklyn, they know it already. Like all the non-Jewish people living in Brooklyn, I feel like they're used to it. But
yeah.
people are, and then one time this guy actually came and he turned on our air conditioner. And then my father looked out the porch. We have like a balcony like that, like you could see the street. And the guy stole one of our strollers from the lobby.
Oh,
So he started
okay.
like running away. He
He's
literally
like, I'm
running away
gonna
with the
seize this
strollers. He's
opportunity.
like, I'm gonna get paid, you know? Like I'm not just gonna
Yeah,
go up into some creepy house. So
yeah.
funny.
Usually you're like,
Um,
I feel like the people are like, what the heck? This random person is just asking me to come into their home. We
yeah,
don't really think about like, oh yeah, we're inviting this random person into our home. Maybe we should be
exactly.
careful. It's like, oh, it kind of turns
It's
it
like,
on its face.
yeah.
Yeah.
But literally we have to ask them to open up our doors and like turn on the air conditioner, turn off the lights. It's just pretty crazy that we do it every week, and like it's just because we grew up with it, it's so seamless, and it doesn't even like question my mind that it's something hard to do. Like certain things are hard, like sneeze, like keeping all the modest laws are really hard. Like
Mm.
keeping, I'm trying to remember what other laws, but like Shabbos for some reason for me personally, it's just like I grew up with it, so it's just like this is what you do every week, and it's like it's
It's like
fine, it works
rote,
out,
like
Yeah, it's just
ingrained
like
for sure.
it's like, and then when you see people who are like trying to keep Shabbos or like non-Jewish people who hear about, they're like, how do you do that? Like that's crazy. How do you live without your phone?
Yeah, I remember the story of about Shuba was basically saying how when she or he started to keep Shabbos, it's very detailed. There's like a lot of things that
Yeah,
you can't do, and there's a lot of things that you should do.
most
And
of us are probably breaking it, like
yeah, for
just because we don't
sure.
know all the
And
laws. Yeah,
she didn't even know if she could flush a toilet. So for a while, she was not flushing the toilet on Shabbos because she just didn't know if that was something that you weren't allowed to do. So there's so many tedious rules, but we you keep what you can or what you know, and yeah, and just do it every week. You just
yeah. Like I
without
feel
a
like the
doubt
main,
promise you do it.
yeah, I feel like the main idea of it is just like unplugging from things. So that's why like the phone thing is like the main thing, even though not necessarily is it the only thing. Like you also have to, you also can't shower, you can't brush your hair, you can't like there's just like there's actually 39 laws, and like they just all have these reasons, but like who's sitting down and like remembering all of them within your day. But like the main, when you think of Shabbos, like personally I think of like turning off my phone and literally like unplugging from technology, and like I'm just like I'm just chilling with my family, and like literally like we just chill all day and we don't drive, and like it's more like the things that like you would do on a daily basis. So like that's why like if you're brushing your hair, but like turning on your phone is really the biggest deal, you
Right,
know?
and it
Not
brings up like an
necessarily like
interesting,
technically, but like yeah.
for sure. It brings up an interesting point of like whether or not I wonder if all the Lamites Malachais, all of the rules that we're supposed to be keeping are like on the same level. And if you're breaking
I don't
one,
right.
then it's just as
Should
bad as breaking another. And we all the
mm,
thing is we all
no, I don't
break
think so.
certain things
Yeah.
on Shabbos. Like sometimes I feel like a lot of times people end up like touching their makeup or like maybe pulling out their hair. It's something that's like probably more accepted or is like it's not that big of a deal. But if you turn on your phone or if you even carry without an Arab, which is like there's like an enclosure, if it's an enclosed space, you're allowed to carry. So if you don't have an Arab and you carry, or if you're driving or doing any of those things where it's like those are big deals because those are, I guess, the bigger things that you're not, I guess, are harder to not do. Then yeah, then that's like a bigger deal. But I wonder if it's like all the same equivalent of
Yeah. Well,
wrong.
well, first of all, I think it's 39 separate halachas. Like I don't think it's one halacha of Shabbos. I don't know, I might be wrong, but I think it's like lamites halachas is like, or maybe not. Maybe if you break one, you're just like breaking the halacha of Shabbos. I don't know. But also, what was I gonna say? Yeah, like the thing is that we kind of created like Shabbos in general. Like it's kind of something that we do without like reason. I think it's a hike. Like it's not necessarily has like a moral reason to it, right? Like you don't kill, you don't steal, you don't um um like we slaughter
Commit
animals and
adultery.
commit adultery, but like also like we slaughter the way kosher meat is that because like it has to be slaughtered in a very specific way that doesn't cause the animal pain. Like these things like they're logic, so like yeah, we follow them. Shabbos is something that's like totally not like not it doesn't have any moral backing to it. It's just something that we do because we were told to do it. It's part of our religion. So we create this meaning for it where it's like you're unplugging from the world. And so like that really relates to like the phone and the driving and stuff like that. So like brushing your hair, it doesn't seem like it doesn't feel like you're breaking Shabbos even if you are. So yeah,
Right.
I think that's where like that
Right.
comes from.
Sure.
Um
It's definitely Shabbos is definitely there's definitely a lot of practical and good reasons that you can I don't know if you're saying you can kind of make these post hoc, but you get so many benefits from keeping Shabbos. You really do. And unless it's almost like unless you have like this, just you have to do it, like just like this irrational like belief, just because you have to do it. It's what you've always done. It's like you're not really going to do it. So it's kind of like if you keep to it, end up getting all of those benefits of like really unplugging is just a super hard thing to do. It really is,
right.
especially now when everything you're
Which
just
is like
so
which
overwhelmed with
is
everything constantly all the
yeah.
time. And so it's such a beautiful gift to be able
Yeah.
to have to, or you don't
And
really, but to like buy into the fact that you have to just unplug with these 2 days, you know?
yeah, and it's also like that's a topic I wanted to bring into this where like just the state we are now with like technology, like how we are so dependent on it and like in the future are we gonna become technology? You know what I'm saying? Like what's that gonna look like for Shabbos?
Are
Like
we going to
we should
become technology? I love
yeah,
that.
like
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 robots?
cyborgs. Like cyborgs.
Oh, for
What is it called?
sure.
Yeah, like that
It
like
has
how's that gonna
technology has to
work?
be.
I mean, I'm assuming that like Jews are not gonna do like religious Jews are not gonna do it. That's where I think it's gonna be. It's probably gonna be against like the Torah, but like how's it gonna work with Shabbos? Like, do you have to like take out that chip in you? Like, what is it gonna be like? But like
Oh,
in
that's
general, like we're
interesting. Is that
becoming
like the
so
future?
yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
what? But like in general, we're just heading to a place, and we are in a place where we're literally so one with technology. We're completely dependent on it. Like back in the day when they didn't have technology, they just had to live without it, you know. And that's we just adapt to what we have. So now we're just like so dependent on it, which is like obviously it has its benefits, but it also has like so many downfalls to it. You know, one of them being social media. Literally, I will pick up my phone, go on Instagram, like you know, on iPhone where you can like swipe up the thing. I would like get off. I would like close the application of Instagram, and without even thinking, like literally a second later, open up Instagram again. I'm like, I just closed it, but it's literally part of like my thing on my phone. Like it's I don't even think about it. It's totally subconscious.
Yeah.
And it's so scary to me that like how addicted we are
Yeah. Yeah.
and how like we like it's so easy to not really socialize with people in the real world when you have this this thing to like distract you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
just something that's like more exciting for your brain. It's more instant gratification. So like why would I sit down and have a conversation with someone that's awkward or like just like boring when I could just be on
Yeah.
my phone?
That's the thing, right? There's there's something about real connection that you don't really truly get through the internet or through social media. You could have a lot of meaningful relationships online, but you know there's something very real about being with physical people. It feels like you're present. It feels like you're actually spending your time like wisely and spending your time in the right in almost like in the right way, if you can frame it that way. And so
Yeah.
it's I don't know where we're going in the future. Like who knows? And
Or why? Like
there's for
why do we have to head that way? Like does Elon Musk not think that it's like terrible or he's just like saying that it's inevitable and like he wants to do it the right way? Like why do we have to head that way? Like if we know that it's so like detrimental.
Yeah, I mean there are plenty of people. I think Sam Harris is one of those people that kind of agree with you who are like, this is going to be detrimental. Like how technology is going to just take over and maybe even like maliciously. I'm not really entirely sure what he says on this, but I don't know. I
Just
think
gonna be a bunch of aliens and technology people
like
taking over the world.
like real aliens, they're just going to come and hit
Yeah.
Earth. Huh.
I'm saying like everyone believes like oh aliens are gonna come take over and then like also like AI. So like it's just gonna be both of them together.
Oh my gosh, that's such a dark picture. It's like a dystopian novel.
Oh my god, should we make a
Humans are not
movie of
even going to
that?
exist anymore. There's so many movies
Hollywood,
probably about
free
that.
idea.
I just think that wherever we're going, it I guess it shows I guess, what Shabbos I guess really shows you is that those days when you're unplugged, and there are many days when it's like a little bit of a drag and you can't wait to get back on your phone, you can't wait to actually do something like productive because it kind of almost feels like you're not being productive, but it shows you what your what priorities kind of should be there
Yeah.
for yourself. You know what I mean? It shows you that even though I feel like I'm not being productive, you're actually really being productive by spending your time with your loved ones and your friends and your family. So it's like a reminder of like what is actually important in your life.
Yeah. That's another part like pointer I wanted to bring up was the idea of family and how much it emphasizes like the meaning in family, which I think people these days, I don't know if it's these days, I hate that phrase. Like I think people in general don't necessarily understand like the meaning of family unless they're forced to spend time with them. I don't know.
Yeah, you ever seen
And
that cartoon or something of like everyone like the only time I spoke to my family is when I asked them what the Wi-Fi code was or something. Like something
literally
like that. Yeah.
like I think in the moment when you're in general in life, like you're going through life, you don't necessarily know the importance of family because you're just like,
They'll always be there. They're just like the
yeah,
background. Yeah.
exactly. They'll always love you, like no matter what, and like whatever, they're there. But but then when you do like decide to like invest in your family and like really like just put them first and all that stuff, then you realize like how much meaning it brings to your life and how much happiness it brings to your life. Because it's literally people, for the most part, and obviously everyone's situation is different, but it's literally people who love you unconditionally, which I think is like what just people need, just to know that they're loved and like that's it. I really think that's what like humans need in general.
Yeah,
So
no,
like,
oh my gosh, I totally agree. I want that unconditional love to be the like sole motivator of people's behaviors. That's so like hippie to think of, but like I want to get to that place where like obviously Star, like true obviously Star, just loving someone purely unconditionally. I don't think that's a crazy it's not a crazy concept because it's exists before, but I'm saying I really
um,
wish that's what our world would look like. Just people
I think it is a
loving
crazy
each other
concept.
for like no reason other than like they just
Yeah,
should
I
be
don't.
loved.
I think that's very idealistic. I don't think that's
Yeah,
practical at all.
it's very idealistic. It's like
Cause yeah, like I don't. I like
Imagine All the
also like
People, John Lennon song.
exactly. Like it. Like can we really like love someone else like we do our family? Like that's also like do we? Do I even
Yes.
want that?
Yeah, I think you can.
I don't. No, I don't think so.
I think you could. You know
Like
which
unless
drug actually like
like
shows that
with
to people a lot?
mushrooms, MDMA,
MDMA, yeah. Apparently
right?
it shows you that there's
Like we're all
no
the same.
limit to love. Yeah, I don't know. It's just cool. It's a cool
Yeah, it's
thing.
kind of cool that Joe Rogan talks about. One second, swallow.
Just too
Joe
hungry.
Rogan says,
Still
yeah,
late
no,
by
I'm like
you.
eating dinner. It's like almost 12 for me. Joe Rogan always talks about how he sometimes he thinks like when he like really doesn't like somebody or like thinks negatively about somebody,
Yeah.
he kind of thinks of them as like, oh, we're all the same. Like we all were like just a baby once, and like we're all
Yeah,
just the
yeah, like the
same, and we're
baby
all from the
thing.
same. Yeah,
That's
which is like
all
a
over TikTok, by the
concept.
way.
Really,
Yeah,
I
oh my
didn't
God,
see.
everyone's like crying, like people are just showing their faces crying and being like, I just imagined everyone as babies.
I was
People
just a
think of their
baby.
mother as a baby.
Oh my, that's
It's pretty
so
funny.
funny. That's actually yeah, and it's a really cool thing to think about. But also like it's something that we kind of I feel like we grew up with learning with like the whole idea of Tanya, where like you can love another person when you know that like we all just have a soul, so we're all at the core we're all the same thing. So
Yeah,
loving another person is like loving yourself.
yeah, that's what I
So that's why it's so.
that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like I don't think
Yeah, but
it's
I
very
just don't think it's
idealistic, and
practical.
there's obviously it's just it's life's work to just get to that point to like love someone unconditionally, especially if you don't like them, especially if they're
Yeah.
doing things that are bad. And maybe there should be a
And like,
conversation about whether you should love someone if they're doing things that are bad. But
yeah,
I'm saying
exactly.
I don't think it's so unrealistic. Like I really think you could
I think it
just
is.
love
Like, I think if
someone.
this like goes into the whole concept of like, if things are not in your peripheral, like, do you pay attention to them? And I really think that people don't. Like, you need to, like, even the idea of like understanding somebody else's pain, like it's only empathy once you've experienced it. Like once you have an experience what that person experienced, it's like sympathy. You can be like, wow, I feel so bad for this person. But feeling another person's pain usually comes from either the fact that like you truly care about them, that like literally their pain is yours, or you've experienced the pain so you know what they're going through. And like that just goes like the human mind. I just feel like, oh, 7 billion people, I'm gonna like love this random like Russian person, like, you know what I'm saying? That has like nothing to do with me. Like, I just think
Yeah.
that's so impractical that that just won't happen ever. No one, like, it will never happen, in my opinion.
Yeah, I maybe if you have that attitude, it won't ever happen. But if you don't think of them as some random Russian person, that's what I mean. If you start to frame it in a way where it makes a lot more sense and it's easier for you to access that love. Maybe if you're thinking of this person as a person who's connected to you because you're all human and you all
Yeah.
experience human
So
things.
maybe like I
I think
won't spread
if you don't
hate.
other, yeah, whatever way you find that possible. And
Just love
maybe
is very intense. Like and also like, can you live your life just like loving everyone? Like I've met people like that before who like that's what they want to do. They just want
mhm.
to love everyone. They never have problems with anything, and it's just like, is this real? It doesn't seem real at all, and it kind of comes out in ways where you're like, yeah, that's not real. They just kind of maybe need that love back or something like that. Like to spend your whole life like loving everyone and like, I guess it depends what you define as love. Like, are you talking about like caring about everyone, or just like not having hate, the opposite of hate type of thing, like, or the lack, like the absence of hate?
No, I think love is like a feeling that you feel towards somebody. I don't know if it's caring as
Like,
much as
how do
it's
you
like
live a functional life like
I
that?
because I think you could. I don't think love and also, dealing with life or hardships is like maybe mutually exclusive. I think maybe you could always have like a unconditional love, right? Like that, like with like what we're talking about with our family. I think will always have an unconditional love for my family members. They will always be there. But I'm gonna hate them. There will be points when I hate every single one of my siblings,
Yeah, but
but
it's
I'll work
backed
through
by
that
this
and I'll
unconditional
always have this
love.
unconditional love. So that's maybe what I mean in regards to I hope I can come to a place where that love, that unconditional love, I feel for other humans and strangers, regardless of, how different I feel like we are. And
I mean,
it's super idealistic, I know, but
yeah,
I feel like I've had people in my life, and also the Rebbeim also were people who embodied that, and
I
it's just such a
yeah,
beautiful way
they're on a
of
different plane.
experiencing each other. So I don't
I
know, yeah,
literally
super
just need to
idealistic.
run to get my phone charger. My phone's about to die. Give me
Okay,
one
go
second.
ahead.
Anyways, well, let's conclude about the whole idea of Shabbos, and then we'll get into 9/11.
Yes, because we're
So,
recording
but
this
today,
on 9/11, so
yeah,
we thought it might be appropriate to talk about a little bit.
yeah. I mean, even though when you're listening to this, it's not 9/11 yet, but yeah, we should
Hmm.
talk about it. So just like, it's really cool that we grew up with this like culture of just like having one day where like we're just not in anything, and like we're just with our family and friends, and we're eating and drinking and having a good time. It's just really cool. Like, it's just, I'm so grateful that we grew up like this, and like it's one of those things that like where you meet like religious people where they just like just have this value for family and community, and I really think that's one of the things that brought that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that
I mean, we didn't really say like disadvantages of it.
the disadvantages
I
of
don't
Shabbos.
know. I don't know if you had any in mind, but
I mean, there will always be disadvantages when you when you decide not to do work, when you cut off certain parts of your life. So, you're not going to be able to do certain jobs, and because you're not going to, you can't work Friday night and Saturday. Um, and you also can always make the case that you're not working towards your goals, and so it's a lot of time when you're on break, and those could be looked at as disadvantages for sure. I know a lot of people who who are working, let's say, in the arts, a lot of theater people, or people who like Saturdays or weekends are big for people working, yeah, who even are waiters or waitresses, things like that. Those days it's hard for them to not work. If you, for instance, I was speaking with my father, you cannot be a pilot and be Shomer Shabbos. You can't.
No way.
Yeah.
Really? You can't have one day where you don't work?
No, like he was speaking to a pilot, and the pilot was saying the airlines give you a roster of when you are working, and there's no going around that. When you have seniority and you're really a well-known pilot, and you can kind of make your own schedule more, like maybe that's when, but there's no way you can be a pilot and keep Shabbos. So it
That's
definitely
really
limits you.
Yeah, I've never met like a religious pilot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I guess it does limit you in the way of like working and stuff. Like if you really have like, you need to get stuff done, like you just have to take the day off. But then again, it like brings in the benefit of just like having one day where you don't work.
Yeah. And I know it
brings
like,
you out of that.
Ben Shapiro is cool. I like that he's the position he is in, which is, I think, really, really pretty famous and successful.
Yeah.
And he keeps Shabbos. Like, you could do it.
Right.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, people say stories, and this is more like a spiritual thing, but people say like when they close down their businesses, that's when they even see more growth, which, I mean, that's just more of like a spiritual connection to it. But like, yeah, for sure. Like, just you take one day off. I mean, I guess, yeah. And I just think the benefits of it, of just being like growing up where you're just, it's like, especially in this day and age, like back in the day, I guess it wasn't as big of a deal because like you're not having technology, but like now where like everyone is literally addicted and like we can't live without it. We're so dependent on it. And it's like one day you can do it.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say to like conclude almost. It's just that it's not even just that bad. It's not even just whatever. It's this disconnecting just for this night and day, and just really being present with the people around you, being forced to do that many times, because if not, you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, when you
exactly,
have
you're literally
things.
Right. The only reason why we do it is because we grew up with it, and there was no other way.
Yeah.
It's like kids are just taught from a young age.
If it was a like really like almost like a choice, I would not be doing it.
I have no self-control. I would not have any self-control for it.
Yeah, like
it's literally because like it's so easy now, because it's just like this is what you do. Like you shut your phone off at sundown Friday night. That's it. Phone goes off, done. Yeah. It's so cool, and like also such a good value to teach kids. Like yeah, sure, like we have to like integrate technology in their lives, because like you can't be extreme with anything, because then they'll go the extreme the other way. But like just like showing the value of like this is not everything. Like we're gonna have a day without it.
Yeah. Because I think
so cool.
I think what Shabbos does is it inherently teaches you about being present. And if there's one thing in our life nowadays where like what we're lacking is being present and feeling like this moment is important and these people around me are important and I should give my full attention and not be divided amongst the millions of things that you could be doing. You could be doing, because you could be doing whatever else seems important at the time. But what Shabbos teaches you is now is important. This day of rest is important. Your family, your friends around you are important. Be there, be present. Don't let these distractions distract you. And that's just so, I feel like it's so important. And I feel like it's a gift. Shabbos is really a gift to us. And it's
because it's not something that like we said, it's not something that we would do if we weren't like kind of forced to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just like a gift given up, like put up on us,
Yeah. And I like viewing it like that, because it's a forced gift. Because I mean, you don't have to keep
right,
it,
exactly.
Many times
it's like when someone like, if like for your birthday they like hire you like a personal trainer.
Yeah. So like, you get
it's like you need to get in shape.
Yeah. Like, you can do it
This
this
is
right
for
now.
you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
welcome. I did
Um,
want to ask you before we get into the like one thing about job. It's like because I know you're very health conscious and like you're very into like tracking your macros and all that type of stuff. Is that hard on Shabbos? Because Shabbos we eat like a shitload of food. Like
hmm.
it's just nonstop eating, sitting with your family. We have 2 meals, like big meals. Like has that been? Have you built resentment of that like towards Shabbos and stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely hard to keep a diet and keep Shabbos as well. And people will always give excuses. Like people say, it's not counted if it's Shabbos. You can eat whatever the heck you
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
It's not,
yeah.
and they really
Calories are
believe
not
that.
counted.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no, I don't think anyone actually believes that.
I actually do. Like, I really think people will be like, "Oh, it's not really counted." And I'm like, "Well, okay.
Right.
I mean, it will be like
I mean,
that.
it
That will
is.
be there." But
Yeah. A
um,
moment on the lips, forever on the hips.
oh God, it's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, okay.
Or you ever heard that saying, "Nothing will ever taste as good as skinny feels."
No, but yeah,
Isn't that like
I mean,
that's like at
did
a
you taste a donut? Did you
I'm
taste
right,
a cinnamon bun?
right?
Like,
Like, I don't
have you
know.
had mac and cheese?
I feel like that person didn't really try really yummy foods, but
Right. Yeah.
um, yeah, it's hard for sure. And there's ways to figure it out if it's really important to you. Meaning like weighing your food or just being conscious still of what you're
You
eating.
just kind of like control your portions.
Yeah, and it's like the broader thing about being Jewish is that a lot of our holidays and Shabbos everything is focused around food. Like food is a huge part of being Jewish and
I'll
Orthodox
be on
Jewish.
such a good like streak on diet, like eating healthy, and then like shaboos will come along, sukkahs will come along, and
Mm,
it will ruin me, and I have to get back into the mode, and it's really impossible.
yeah.
I cheat that. Like I blame all the holidays.
But it's an actual thing, and I don't think
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Like it's like also because so many of our holidays are surrounded around food that are it's like specifically not healthy. I'm sorry, just like
yeah. You're
every
eating bread. You're
holiday.
eating things with like, tons of oil. Like
Yeah, and
the
it's
one
so
holiday, like dipping apple in honey. Maybe that's like the healthiest thing we have.
maybe yeah. What else? I
Mhm.
mean, matzah. You're eating tons of matzah, which is just
Yeah,
bread, basically. Yeah, and it's that's I guess the one thing that's like there's a real setback to like Shabbos and Yom Tovim is that we're not really because we're so involved with the meals and me and food is so connected to family time and to connecting with
yeah,
people. It's just like it's part of that. We don't really like have those limitations around it. So if you have that like personally, you have to really enforce that.
yeah, yeah. So that's hard. So that's been like that's hard for you. But you kind of just so do you diet on Shabbos? Like you keep that to your diet?
Um, yeah, depending on like what I'm doing at the time, I like yeah, I try to like figure it out beforehand if it's
Right.
um but usually
You also like make your whole family's Shabbos meal, so I feel like you could track everything.
exactly like I know what went into everything. I know which thing has
Yeah.
sugar, which doesn't. Yeah.
Literally, Kai makes like all the dips, everything.
Well, right now my kitchen is we're redoing our kitchen in
Big
our house.
renovating.
Yeah, they just put down the floors, so it's getting
Oh my
there.
God.
I know it's
That's so
exciting.
exciting.
So excited.
I have to come. I have to come and take it back. I want to
Yes.
see it once it's finished.
Yeah, it's
You
gonna
see
be
my
good.
kitchen, right? You saw my.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you did. You did. Yeah.
yeah.
What was I gonna say? So what are you guys doing? You just like ordering food every Shabbos?
Yeah,
You.
so we've kind of been getting takeout and then sometimes cooking at my sister's house and then bringing the food on Friday because we have
Yeah.
like a fridge and keep stuff in the fridge. Details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Which shelf on the fridge, please?
Yeah.
Back or the front? What's the temperature of the fridge on?
I don't know, too cold. Like I'm constantly pulling out frozen things. I'm like, what's going on?
Really?
We're not asking any questions because everything is just flying. Like when you're doing construction and you're living in a house while construction is being done, you're just
God. It was dark times in our
it's
house. It was dark
dark.
times.
It's dark. It's just like
Literally, like when all our floors were off, like I couldn't like be anywhere. Like everything
yes.
was dusty. Like I'm always like finding dust in my mouth, like just breathing dust,
That's what I'm saying. You're just existing. You're like
sneezing.
existing for the
Yeah, yeah,
time when it's
yeah.
not there anymore. So you're not even like
Exactly. You're just
there.
like waiting.
Yes.
Yeah, and they always tell you like, yeah, yeah, in a few weeks we're gonna be done. It's like we know you're lying,
Yeah.
but you still hold on to that hope.
And then you don't see them for like another month and you're like, where are they?
We are, yeah.
The
You know what they do?
permits.
They take other jobs also.
Oh yeah.
So then they get busy and everything. They're like, we're too busy. You're like, yeah, but
And then they tell it to every single one of
I'm
the
not,
people they
but
work
like,
with.
I
Oh, it's
can't
gonna be
breathe.
done tomorrow. It's gonna be done. It's like they have a rolling system, you know?
And it's like a mafia. Like they all have the same language. So like you can't get out of it. It's not like you're gonna get one contractor who's like they all have the freaking same language. They're all gonna say, we're gonna get it done in 3 months and it's gonna take a year.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes.
If I become a contractor, I'm gonna be the change I want to see.
Okay. Oh, Rivka, you never know. You're saying you might
You never
be
know.
coding psychology
Yeah, I
contractor.
have so many options. Sometimes I think I'm ADHD with the amount of things that I want to do.
You might be.
I really think I might be. Um, okay, how did we get here?
I don't know, but
Um,
9/11, which
9/11. Okay, well, today is 9/11. I actually did not even realize until you told me.
yeah, actually, it's a kind of a little bit of a morbid story, but I think it might be important to share because 9/11 happened quite some time ago, and unless it really impacted you, I don't really think our generation really thinks about it in like a really
Yeah,
significant way. But I was in college, and my teacher was basically saying how the insurrection on January 6th, when Trump told kind of incited the riot, at least that's what he
yeah.
incited the riot to attack the Capitol. She was saying how that was more of a threat to democracy than 9/11 was, and that was worse for our country, which was
Wait, she's saying January 6th was worse for our
hmm
country than
yeah,
9/11? Oh, wow. Okay.
which was
Interesting.
very, very shocking to me, and
That's crazy.
really was taken really like silently by my class. I think most of them happened to agree with her. I do think.
And she was saying this on 9/11?
No, can you imagine? No, she wasn't saying it on
Oh,
9/11. She was
I
just
thought
saying,
like she used like literally today to like be like, well, January 6th was worse.
oh,
Like,
no, no. We were
okay,
learning.
yeah,
It was like a journalism class,
yeah. Okay.
but I'm not usually the type to like really love creating a conflict and being that person who's like in opposition to what everyone else thinks. I try to be
Right.
if I think it's important enough to stand up for it. When she said that, I was like, I'm sorry, Mrs. I don't want to say her name. That's a really hot take
Sorry,
considering
Mrs. Yeah.
Mrs. Yeah, or Miss. I don't know. That's a really hot take considering that 9/11 really like was tragic and disastrous and like,
Yeah, it's not even
comparable.
about politics. It's just like people. So tons of people died.
Yeah. Um.
Wow. What did
So
she say?
she said she's like, you're right, in the way that you're going to measure it with like lives lost, the 9/11 was worse, but what was worse for democracy was January 6th, which I still don't see how you can make that case, especially since 9/11 incited this whole war, like what is it, war on terror, and people had like their privacy really interrupted with the NSA, and everybody's emails were being read all of a sudden because of 9/11. Like
Right.
tons of things happened because of 9/11. So I don't think it was worse for our democracy. But
Right. I guess she's saying like a direct cause. I guess like if you look at that, it's like people. Well, I don't know. I think it's the opposite because January 6th, I'm not saying I agree with anything that happened, but at the same time, if anything, it showed like people standing up. What happened on January 6th?
oh
I'm realizing I don't really understand. Like he said, let's storm the Capitol because the votes were wrong.
yeah,
Is that
because
what?
he was denying like a peaceful transfer of power to Joe
Right.
Biden.
Which obviously is wrong and like that
Yeah,
shouldn't have happened. But in like in an objective point of view, if anything, it shows in favor of democracy where like the government's not in power. People can riot if they want.
yeah, but
So I'm not saying
but
I'm
it
not
was
saying
very
anyone should.
detrimental that to I think to like democracy in general that Trump denied doing a peaceful transfer of power because a lot lies on that. Like that's something that has to happen, and like no matter
Right,
what you think went wrong, like that's
right.
something that has to take place. And Trump not doing that, I think, is enough actually for people to not support him. Like people still support him, and I don't think people should.
I mean, I think at this point people support him because Biden is so bad.
Yeah. Are you involved at all in
But
politics now? Like, do you know what's going on?
not really.
Yeah.
Not really. All I know is that the stock market is down.
Yeah.
My money's down. Like that's
Yeah.
what I look at. Like that's what I
Right.
see. You know what I'm saying? Like gas prices are up. Every time I want to refill our car, my car, it's like literally tons of money. And it all happened while Biden's in president with the whole like Ukraine war and all these things. So yeah, to me, it's like I don't know shit about politics, so I could be totally off base,
Hmm.
and I would love to be educated. But it just to me, it seems that like when Trump was in office, the economy was just better, and I think that's what like and we spoke about this on our very first podcast. I think like that in general is what people see, but that's what affects our lives.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I don't care about like you're gonna tell me that you think people should be called they them. Like okay, good for you. It's like does everyone have money? Does everyone have jobs? Like you know what I'm saying?
Right. Um,
So whatever.
yeah,
But anyways, that's as much as like I'm involved, but like otherwise no.
gotcha. Yeah.
I
I'm
stopped that.
also
Yeah.
pretty turn
It's just like
tuned out from
yeah,
politics.
it's too stressful.
Hmm. Yeah.
But so what did you respond to her when she said that about the democracy thing?
I don't know. It was an ongoing conversation with the class, and it started to get into a little bit of a discussion and debate. But I thought I thought we should talk about it here on the podcast, just because it was. It's just so. It's so heartbreaking that something like that happened. I don't know, and my heart goes out to anybody who, is dealing with any loss from something like that. Still now, not still like now,
Yeah.
and it's a good thing to remember that we just like we shouldn't forget that something like that happened, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like just remember those people who like
Lost their lives.
literally their lives were taken for no reason, like literally no reason, just going to work
Yeah.
and because people just act out of terror. I mean, I don't know, maybe we could bring this to a broader thing of like just acting out of like on a dogmatic like religion,
Yeah. Yeah.
like even that, like just doing things without thinking and like you got to have. I mean, also, I mean, living in Israel, I see I see things, and obviously not everything's the case, but like specifically in Jerusalem, when we walk to, you walk through the old city, and like you'll end up in the Arab quarter, like the Arab marketplace, like we call it the Arab shuk, and like so actually when I walked through there, it was like during the day. I don't know if like it's because they couldn't tell I was Jewish necessarily, because for a girl, like I'm just dressed like they didn't necessarily know, but I've heard so many stories of like recently, like people walking through and them getting stoned because they're wearing kippah, stuff like that, and it's like, and it's not even just the older people; it's literally the kids. So that like just brings in this whole idea of like, are these kids like, do they literally just they're just brought up like this, like just like we said, like with Shabbos, like this relates back, like we were brought up like that, so we kind of don't really think about it, we just do. Like maybe that's the same way where like they just don't. It's just what they're brought up with. They're taught literally in the Quran to hate the Jews, and I'm not saying all Middle Eastern people are like this at all, but I'm just saying like the Muslim religion. I don't know. It's just like they're literally taught from a young age. So like, are the people bad or are they just taught this? So I just had this conversation with a guy over Shabbos. He's like, "Do you think people are bad or good, or do you think everything's just like what your surroundings are and like what you're brought up with, basically?" And I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
it's crazy what's like someone's beliefs
Yeah.
can bring them to.
Yeah. This is reminding me of, so I watched and read The Looming Tower. Forget the author. I should have looked up this, but we literally just decided that we're going to talk about 9/11 now. And
Yeah,
there's so many, it details everything about how 9/11 happened, because something like this couldn't have happened in a void. And he also details all about the beliefs that people who like the hijackers on the plane, what they, the beliefs that they had. And yeah, the just the dogma in just absolutely believing something that there's just no changing whatsoever
yeah,
your mind whatsoever, because you're just so engrossed in such a belief. Which is, the people who hijacked the plane, they believe that they were going to go up to the heavens and have 72
right.
virgins,
72
and
virgins.
yeah, all of that. Like they
Yeah,
really believe that stuff. And it's a case in really being thinking about
yeah. I
what's going
by the
on.
way, I just want to make clarify that I don't think that all Muslims are like that,
Hmm.
and I don't think that all um Middle Eastern people are like. I'm not like putting everything in one box, but the people who do believe that, the extreme Muslims, I guess, because it's part of the Islamic religion, like there are people who believe that. So
Yeah.
that's the number that I'm talking about. I'm not trying to lump anyone into one thing.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's good that you clarified that. I
Yeah,
think,
I just wanted to make it clear
yeah,
because
you, nowadays when everything is not clear. Yeah, I think
Yeah, you know.
Dare to be the person who's gonna think differently and also voice yourself differently. It's so hard. It's so hard, especially at least this is something like hits home for me because I don't I don't like to be dissenting. I don't like when people don't not like me. I don't like to be the opposition or
Right.
when people like look at me weird because I don't have the same beliefs. I don't like that. It's
Right.
hard. And so I my heart truly goes out for people who are in a echo chamber or in a thought chamber of a certain thing and they just don't think that way or and they have to go against whatever they're in. It's so hard, but it's so important. And it's seriously at the
Right.
individual level, right? It's like that one person could really make such a difference.
Yeah. I mean, and that, yeah, that literally goes to like even like piles over into like America and our whole like culture when it comes to politics and
Yeah.
like Twitter, like just being fed what you think. And it's not even at the fault, it's just the way human nature is. I think like humans just want to believe what they, once you make an original bias about things, you'll have a hard time seeing another point of view. And so you'll surround yourself with the point of view that you believe in. And so like how do you like it's so hard to break out of that. And I guess it's just like by being like just objective about yourself, if that's possible, or just being like self-aware, as self-aware as possible, you
Yeah.
know, that can help you see other perspectives. I think it's really important.
Yes. It's really important. And then
But
also
yeah, 9/11 tragedy.
sorry, that was a funny transition. Yeah, but 9/11. It is
I just like we get to places and I'm like, yeah, well, yeah,
yeah, back to that. Yeah. I also think you could what you could do is extend oh, she left. Um, what you could do though is extend the possibility that the person who's having a dissenting voice, their intentions are pure as well, or their intentions is to get to the same place as you, which is hopefully like a better society or a better environment. You know, give that person the benefit of the doubt that they have good intentions. I think it's important, that's how you have, I guess, civil discussion and civil debate. So, anyways, Rivka's having some technical difficulties, so I'm just going to end this podcast. Yeah, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoy. If you have any suggestions for topics that you want to hear about, or you know, if maybe you're interested in coming on this podcast, you have something to say, a story to share, you can totally email us, and we'll get back to you. So, thank you. Bye.